Hey guys, following on from last week's video on yoga balls, today we are going to be discussing two exercises and demonstrating two exercises with a couple of enhancements for you to do if you've got a yoga ball at home. They are back-friendly exercises, so if you're looking to strengthen your lower back in a safe way, not doing the wrong things, but actually doing it in a way that's going to enhance your back stability for the long term and reduce the likelihood of you making any back injuries worse, then this is the video for you. As with anything, guys, you have to remember that it's all well and good doing the right things and doing the exercises we discuss in this video, but you must get rid of the wrong ones because they can derail your progress. So if you haven't seen that video I mentioned a moment ago, then click the link in the description, or there'll be a link above my head probably some point during this video where you can check that out afterwards. So the first thing I'm going to go through is going to be why we're doing these specific exercises and what they're doing for you. As with these videos, we're going to try and put some timestamps underneath so you can skip ahead to the demonstrations and the exercises themselves if you are short of time. But with that out of the way, let's get into what we're doing and why we're doing it. The two exercises that we're going to be going through are going to be a modified DeadBug and a modified glute bridge using the yoga ball. Now, why are we choosing these exercises first and foremost? Well, step number one is that they are working your core to provide stability in a neutral position. It's important for us occupying life on a daily basis upright that we have the capacity to engage our core with our spine in neutral. Too many of the exercises that you might have done in the past for your core involve you doing things like pelvic tucks, not maintaining neutral, but moving your spine in some peculiar contorted way in order for you to engage your core. With these, you're going to learn to engage your core with the spine in neutral. So although you're doing them horizontal, you're actually going to be able to apply the lessons, apply the skills, and apply the strength improvements to any of the exercises that you choose to do upright and daily living, which is essential for long-term back recovery and making your back bulletproof in that regard. If you're only ever doing core exercises like sit-ups, crunches, planks, etc., then you're going to be working one plane, and also you're doing movements that we just don't do. How many times have you done an abdominal crunch to bend down to tie your shoelaces? Sure, some of you with stiff flexibility and stiff hamstrings might be doing a little bit of a crunch, but most of the time our core is there to stabilize us when we're out and about carrying things, which brings me on to step number two. So step number two, or benefit number two, which might be a bit more appropriate in terminology, is going to be the fact that these core exercises are going to not only stabilize you in the one plane, so holding that neutral, but also, like in the first exercise we're going to go through, the modified DeadBug, you're going to be challenged, your body and that ability to maintain neutral is going to be challenged from one side or the other. Think about it, someone passes you the shopping bags, for example. If they pass you them on one side, they don't walk up to you and go, here you go, boom. It's going to be one side or the other. You're leaning to put the child in the car seat, you're doing everything on a daily basis is most of the time asymmetrical. And what your core is designed to do, or supposed to do when it works properly, is maintain a neutral spine, and then your hips are going to move, your body's going to move, etc., to negotiate that asymmetrical load. So with our core training, we want to do that. If we're just doing endless sit-ups and crunches and leg raises, that's not going to cut it because it's not applicable to daily life. So if we grab the spine for a second, we have a large pelvis section down here, and then up level with this blue section of the spine here, we have the rib cage, and then our core is in this middle bit right in here, and that's what's stabilizing us. So when we're doing these activities, you can literally see the two sections wobbling around. Our core is stabilizing that. It's not simply just doing that and bending forwards. It's stabilizing us while loads are coming from top and bottom, from left and right, and from lower down as well. So we want exercises, especially as we start to really try and build strength in our core and build that applicability to daily life. We want them that are going to challenge us in a real world way. Now, before we get into the exercises, what are we actually going to be doing? So I would suggest that you actually use these two exercises as a sort of superset. You can combine them, you can do them one after the other, and doing 10 reps of each, and then going through that 2 or 3 times, 3 or 5 times could be a really, really valid way to enhance training on your core section, especially if you've got some of these exercises around. It'll take you a little bit of time, maybe 5-10 minutes or so to get that little circuit done, but it will, along with other exercises, really enhance your core and make use of that yoga ball in a safe way that ultimately is going to help you strengthen your back in a way that allows you to avoid injuring it in everyday life. And that is really what it's all about. The very first one we're going to be doing is the DeadBug variation, or the modified DeadBug here. What you'll notice is that the spine has a natural arch to it. Okay, when you're lying on your back, your bum is going to be in contact with the floor, your mid-back is going to be in contact with the floor. This must remain the case throughout the entirety of this exercise. You start pressing down your back, that's wrong. That's squashing on the discs, and that's a bad practice that we discussed earlier. If you don't control properly, you're going to let your back arch, and that's also going to create problems. The second of those is more likely to give you pain at the time you're doing it, so make sure you've got a good core engagement and you're holding this thing steady. One little pro tip, if you are a little bit struggling with this exercise, is you can pop a small towel underneath here to just support this area. Not to press into it, but just to support it, like so. So if we get into position, I'll get the spine out of the way and get started. So the first thing you want to do is get your yoga ball and get it into position. We're going to have our knees on there around about shoulder width apart, and our arms are also going to be shoulder width apart as well. I'm going to do the simple easy variation for this first and foremost, and then we'll add on the next one. So we're going to pop our hands on, and we've got a bit of compression between the knees and the hands, so you really want to try and feel them through the ball. Come up into the tabletop position, and then all we're going to do is switch one leg going out, coming back in, and then the other leg going out and coming back in. So if I do a couple reps for you guys, nice and slow, and keeping the spine nice and steady. You might get a little bit of clicking and popping in the hips, and that's just some of the tendons just flicking over little bits of bone. If you do, let us know in the comments if you're feeling that. It is very common, and it is something that if you adjust the positioning of your leg and there's just a slight rotation one way or the other, it can get rid of that or make it happen less frequently. So that's variation number one. A couple more reps just to show you guys, nice and neutral, nice and tight through here with the core, the back's held nice and steady, and then it's just a case of 1, contact, 2, contact, and we could do 10 reps of this, contact. That's the first one. Now, if you want to make it a little bit more difficult, we can go ahead and get the arms involved here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take alternating arms and legs. So if you've got the right leg going out, the left arm is going to go out. So again, we must keep that control and that contact in the imaginary line between our hands and the opposing knee. So here we go again. We'll just do a couple of reps and then talk about it. So get into position, up into tabletop, compress with the knees and the hands, and then we're just going to go one leg out and back in. One leg out and back in. I'll do one more on each side. Out and back in and out and back in. The important thing with this is that you don't let your spine rot. So if I show you what that looks like when you do it badly, is you're here and then you're like that, and then back in and then back. And you can see that I'm over exaggerating here, but my back is moving all over the shop and I'm not using core stability to do this exercise effectively. I would really say, whenever you're doing these, set up a little tripod the first time you're doing it, or even stand your phone up on the side and record you doing the exercise. Then you can see clearly where you're going wrong, especially if we've been struggling with lower back pain for a long period of time. We have to get the nuance right, and then we can start making it harder for ourselves. So you see why these two exercises go together so well, because you don't even need to move position between the two exercises. So what we're going to do here in this position is you're basically led with your feet on, or legs, calves on the ball, and it does work particularly well with a larger ball. You can obviously get the smaller ones. It's going to be a little bit different in terms of the mechanics, so do play around with that based on the size that you've got versus your own body size. For this one here, again, we must fixate that spinal position. No tucking of the bum and no arching of the back. We just fixate that spinal position. Have your hands, the first time you do this, you can press them on the ground. That's okay, because that's going to make this a little bit easier the first time you're doing it. And then all we're doing is we're just lifting our bum up and then coming back down again. I would always say you want to kiss the floor with your back. So by the back, I mean just lower everything down so it kisses the floor but doesn't rest on the floor, okay? So you want to just contact the floor and then go straight back up again. So like so. So we come up and then we go down, contact, back up, down, contact, back up. And that way, you're really not relaxing those muscles or disengaging the back or the core at any point. Now we can make this a little bit more difficult just judging by the position of the ball. So if we roll the ball out a little bit further, then it's a little bit different. I wouldn't necessarily say difficult, that's probably the wrong word, but you might feel your hamstrings get involved a little bit more when the ball is further out like so. Now, how are we going to make it more difficult properly? Instead of having our hands down like so and coming up, we're going to cross our hands over our shoulders like so. Now we don't have that extra stabilization. So as we go up, we have to stabilize more with our body. So you'll feel, if you just pause for a second, you'll feel those small movements of the ball are sending signals down the leg muscles into the core. The back of the hamstrings are really working continuously with that core as you're trying to make sure you stay nice and steady. By having your arms up here, it's just one central contact point on the mat here, and that way it just makes that exercise a little bit more challenging. So just to do a couple of reps with you guys, I'll just do 2 reps of each variation. We're gonna have our hands flat on the floor. Have your legs in whatever position it is you've got. I've got a sort of a mid stance, and then we'll do core nice and tight and engaged, spine nice and neutral, come up from the hips, 1, 2, 3. And then if we swap over, do the harder variation, we've got 1, 2, 3. And slowly down. And hopefully you can see that the ball is moving a little bit as we're doing that. And with time and with practice, you're gonna hold it more and more steady. Maybe the first time you're doing it, it's all over the place like so, but you've just got to be careful with these things. The great thing about this exercise, just like the last one, it's very, very safe. Worst things comes to worst, you just drop yourself back down onto the ground about that far, and you start again, you set yourself again. Very, very safe exercises to use the yoga ball to really start to strengthen your core and lower back. So guys, there you have it. I hope those 2 exercises have been helpful. It's something that you can revisit, give them a go on a regular basis, especially if you've got these yoga balls lying around the place. A lot of us do have them from times gone by, and it's just a great little tool that you can use to enhance your training a little bit further and make some simple exercises that little bit more challenging in a safe and effective way, so you can target your core, target your lower back health, and build them in a relevant manner rather than going round and round in circles doing the wrong sorts of exercises that fundamentally don't help. Remember, there's that video in the description that you can check out for exercises not to do, and make sure you are subscribed to our channel if you like videos like this, because we are having more videos on yoga balls and other ways to help strengthen your lower back going forward. So if you're subscribed to the channel, you won't miss another video. See you in the next one, and thanks for watching.